Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined as always by the man who I can think of nobody else I would rather spend a day in the woods with, drinking wine, smoking roll-ups and climbing trees. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I am very well indeed. Very well indeed. I've been baking this weekend. I've been Scottish baking for International Day at my wife's school. My wife's like part West Indian and part English, so I'm not sure why she wants to take Scottish things to school. I suspect it's because she can't be arsed to make anything West Indian or English to take in. So yeah, I made scones yesterday and I made some tablet.
Now, you sent us photos on the group chat of the scones and tablets, and they looked incredible, I have to say. Have you tasted them, or were they all for the school?
No.
Yeah? How were they?
I had them now with the scones. I think they could have been a wee bit sweeter. The recipe was for sultana swans, but sultana scones. But I'm the only person in the house that likes sultanas, so I didn't put them in. And as a result, they could have been a wee bit sweeter, but they were still nice. And the tablet, of course, is the antithesis of not so sweet scones. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's just all sugar. You just feel
so. Do you have have you got a dentist appointment this week that you made tablets?
It's the kids that I'm worried about because I had one bit and I was like, well, it tastes like tablet. It's the first time I've made it, so I never made tablet before. So I've been like researching all week. I've been watching people on YouTube making tablet, and they use their camera phones and to film it because they're just normal. They're just people. They're not like chefs or anything. They're just like normal Scottish people just showing off their tablet recipes. So but I tasted it because I'm not actually a big fan of tablet because like you, I find it ridiculously sweet and you can feel your teeth kind of rotting with every little tiny bit that you have. So, but it tasted like tablet. So that's the main thing. So
I should have told you if you told me beforehand, because my sister makes the most fucking incredible tablet.
Oh, really?
However, like literally one bite of a square, and I'm like, okay, that's enough for me because it's so sweet. But yeah, Wendy makes amazing tablets, so I should have told you that if you'd asked me before.
Yeah, I have to compare notes with her, so I will. See what she puts in it, because I bought loads. I overestimated the amount of condensed milk that I would need, so I bought 2 like normal sized tins. But for the recipe that I made, you only need like a sort of thimble full of fucking condensed milk. So I've got this open can of condensed milk that every time I go into the fridge, I keep sticking my finger in it just to have a little taste of it.
Oh, very nice. Well, I hope the scones and the tablet go down very well.
I'm sure they will. But yeah, it's half term here next week, so I've got one day of work and then I've got the rest of the week off, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, wonderful. Are you up to anything exciting?
No. Well, I'm not. The kids, the kids are at an age where they just go and do their own. They've got their own plans. Do you know what I mean? So I'll be dropping off and picking up, no doubt. But that's it. You're counting down to your Caribbean holiday?
Yes. Well, we're in a weird time loop here, listeners. We are recording this before I go away on holiday, but this episode actually won't come out until after I'm back from holiday. So we're recording this well in advance. Yes, I'm off to Barbados for kind of it's kind of honeymoon stroke wedding money. We got married 2.5 years ago, but yeah, we're just going on our Barbados holiday now because there's been some strange little flying monkey virus going around. So we haven't been able to to travel properly. So yes, we are off on our holidays. So we're looking forward to it. But yeah, speaking of traveling, my wife and I were watching The Apprentice this week. As we do, because we love The Apprentice. Like I know you're maybe not a huge fan.
No, I'm a big fan of The Apprentice. It's just I'm not as iPlayer accessible as you are.
Okay. So. Well, so this current series, there has been a Scottish contestant, Rhys, and he's been doing okay. Like I quite liked him. He was kind of one of my picks to get into the final 5. He's the type of person that I thought they would keep in until the final 5, and then he would make a total fucking arse of the interview and get booted out. Right. And they would keep him in for a kind of a comedy vehicle. However, on the episode that was just on this week, they went to Dubai on this episode.
I think I did see that on like a advertised kind of, actually, now you mentioned.
Yeah. So they had to put on like a corporate away day, and it was the usual fucking shit, you know, like a desert safari and boat tour and coffee making and tasting type thing. And the Scottish contestant, Rhys, you saw him at the start of the episode and he was all excited, packing his stuff. And then you saw him at the airport and they found out they were going to Dubai and he was all excited and stuff. And then you didn't see him again for the entire episode. And nobody mentioned anything until they got back to London and they were in the boardroom. And Lord Sugar, why am I calling him Lord Sugar? Fucking Alan says, so as you know, Rhys couldn't take part in this task and he has now left the process. And you're like, what? So it came out, Rhys put on his social media that he had left for health reasons, basically. Yeah. And it did say health over wealth was his hashtag.
Right.
However, it has come out that the reason that he left is that he got pished on the plane to Dubai and the production crew were like, no, you can't take part in this task because you're fucking hammered. So technically it was health and safety reasons.
Right.
But yeah, so he had to leave the process. My wife was like, oh, that's a terrible advert for Scotland. I was like, that's the most typically Scottish thing I could think of. He's got fucking pished on the plane to Dubai. He's arrived steaming and hasn't been allowed to take part in the task.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they probably would have got flown business class. So
yeah,
business class either with British Airways or Emirates. It's going to be pretty nice. You know?
It was definitely Emirates because they were when they were in the airport, there was Emirates signs behind them. So I was like, okay, so they obviously got the flights paid for because they're doing that little bit of sneaky advertising on the BBC there.
Yeah. Terminal 3. I thought you were going to say that it turned out that he had like a phone. He had lived in Dubai before, like 10 years ago, and he had a phone bill that he hadn't paid. So they wouldn't let him into the country or something like that.
Who knows? Maybe that'll come out. Maybe that was one of the reasons as well. But no, apparently he just had a few two little mini bottles of red wine on the flight over.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He's fucked his chance at being Alan's business partner, but good for him.
I think the thing about The Apprentice is what's kind of unique about it is like all the other sort of, again, I guess The Apprentice is a bit of a sort of high level sort of corporate talent show, and you know it's not like X Factor where it's about singing or what's the other one? What's the one with Bianca Holden in? It's going right in my head. The British
Britain's Got Talent.
Britain's Got Talent. Fucking hell. Where they have to sort of change the judges every so often to sort of keep it fresh. I think Alan Sugar's two guys that guy Nick, he left to go and present Countdown, didn't he? Yeah. Nick Hewer. I always liked him, and then he had that sort of that woman that looked a bit like the woman off The Chase. Can't remember her name. Remember the short hair? Remember?
Margaret.
Yeah, she looked well. She was sort of like
it was Margaret and Nick.
Yeah, it's Margaret and Nick. But Margaret looked a wee bit like a thinner version of the woman off The Chase. Like the woman that's been in The Chase. Yeah, well, does she not? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But like the thing is, like, essentially it's the same every season. It's just Alan Sugar bollocking people and rationing out a little bit of praise every now and again to people who have done well. But I guess what makes it interesting is the participants, you know, the contestants. Would you call them? Because they're always candidates. That's it. Oh, fucking hell. They're always quite interesting. I always remember Stuart Baggs, who called himself Stuart Baggs the Brand.
R.I.P.
Oh, what happened to him?
Oh, he died a few years ago.
Did he? Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Quite a sad tale, yeah. Right. No, unfortunately, he passed away.
Oh, well.
And of course, The Apprentice gave us Katie Hopkins as well.
Of course, she came to The Apprentice, didn't she? And what's Alan's Karen? She's got the Birmingham City Football Club. Has she still got Birmingham City?
West Ham.
West Ham.
She is now. Yeah, she was Birmingham City.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where she rose to prominence. But yeah, I think she's like executive director or something at West Ham United still.
Good looking woman. So she is, Karen.
Yeah. She's had a lot of work done, but yeah, she's all right.
She's all right.
Okay. Anyway, my wife listens to this, so better not say anything. Okay. Right. Right. So that was a little bit of news, I guess, from Scotland this week about poor old Rhys getting pished on the plane in Dubai. But shall we have a look at the other news that's been happening in Scotland this last week?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen in the news this week in Scotland that has caught your eye and you would like to share with me and our listeners?
Well, we've had the Loch Ness Monster on the Swally before. This is a sort of update. It comes from the Daily Record on the 9th of February of this year. The headline reads, Loch Ness Monster mystery solved as Nessie spotted more than 3,000 miles away. The most recent Nessie sighting is reported to be as far afield as North Carolina, but one woman believes she has solved the mystery surrounding the fabled beast. So, I mean, you know, this only happens like every few years, you know. So, the fabled beast, believed to exist in the Scottish Highlands in Loch Ness, crucially, is now feared to have moved away from its home country after allegedly being spotted in foreign waters. A snake sea-like creature which shares a striking resemblance to Nessie, a striking resemblance to something that nobody's ever really seen, was spotted with its head out the water off the Atlantic Ocean. Horrified witnesses saw its body surface before it dipped back into the water, leaving them questioning whether or not it was the mythical creature. I think we can answer that question for them. Chaz and Tails Outdoors Bait and Tackle Store posted a clip of the monster with the caption, "It's something you don't see every day. Whales or the Loch Ness Monster in the port this morning." So it's a bit of a leap there. It's either Wales or the Loch Ness Monster. It's just nothing in between. They've never seen one in the inlet like this. Thousands of baffled social media users took to the comments to speculate what the beast in the footage was. One person replied, "Now that is strange. Odd looking head for sure." Some suggested the sea creature was perhaps a gator, while others said it might be a baby whale. However, another commentator was quick to shut this theory down as they wrote, "No way is it any of the animals mentioned, including a baby whale or an alligator. Its motion is too graceful, it has protrusions on its head, and a long feather-like flipper in the rear. I honestly don't know of any sea creature that fits that description." Meanwhile, other conspiracists were convinced the beast was the mythical Loch Ness Monster, which is thought to live in Scotland. One comment read, "Definitely a Loch Ness Monster. I saw two the same day I saw Bigfoot walking a black panther on a leash." There is much debate surrounding whether or not Nessie is a fictional creature or not, but this isn't the first time a wild theory about the creature has emerged. To settle the debate, we've accumulated a few sightings to distinguish what's fact and what's fiction. Last year, Sue Q, I think it's pronounced, who's 60, watched a documentary about Nessie when she realised she had spotted the same creature in her hometown of Penrith, Australia, not the Penrith, the borders, the UK. Sue believes she has finally solved the mystery and claims to know exactly what the beast was. The documentary showed the classic 1934 black and white image of Nessie with the mysterious figure looming in the rippled water. Sue saw the distinguishable, fucking hell, elongated neck and shorts. Fucking hell, I don't know, they're using hard words in this article. Elongated neck and short snout of the beast, and instantly recognised it to be a shadow puppet shape her father used to make. Now, the thing is, that 1934 footage was exposed as being a hoax about a week after it came out. So, because somebody just put a little model and put the camera close to it. The 60-year-old is now certain that the Loch Ness Monster is an elaborate hoax. She even recreated the image herself, and while there was some resemblance, not a lot of people believe her theory. Sue explained, "The Loch Ness Monster has been around for years, and when I was watching the show, I just knew what it was instantly. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. When you're a kid and your parents put their hands together to make a bird or a dog on the wall or whatever, like a shadow puppet, it's similar to that. I think the Loch Ness Monster is a bloke lying under the water with his arms sticking out." And there's a picture here. So she's got the famous black and white picture on her TV, and then she sort of stuck her hand up as if she's manipulating a Muppet to show that it's the same. I'll put the picture on our Instagram and the listeners can be the judge. My dad used to do that sort of thing on the wall, Sue continues, and I knew what it was. It's just a dark photo of a man's arm. You can see a bit of the body. That'll just be the bloke with his body under the water. How can that not be it? I took the same photo right in front of the TV when I was watching the show. I saw it and I said, that's a Loch Ness Monster. Being as it's a man, it's his arm. He's under the water and his arm's longer. That's his forearm and his hand like that, twisted to the side. Sue recreated the image using her arm and uploaded her theory online, but many people don't agree with her thoughts. Another alleged sighting of Nessie last August turned out to be an escaped alpaca going for a swim.
Oh, that's fantastic.
When a long-necked creature was seen in the waters, people leapt to conclusions and assumed it was the infamous beast. This comes after boffins revealed a new bombshell Nessie theory, which suggested that the beast may actually have been a freshwater dinosaur. Fossils of small plesiosaurs, which were long-necked reptile creatures from the dinosaurs' age, have now been discovered in a 100-million-year-old river system that is now Morocco's Sahara Desert. Dr. Nick Longrich, who produced some of the new study at the University of Bath, revealed plesiosaurs would have been able to live at Loch Ness. However, he added that the fossils suggest an asteroid killed the last plesiosaurs 66 million years ago, so maybe the theory doesn't work. Scientists studied the fossils, which included neck, backbones and teeth from 12-foot-long adults and an arm from a 5-foot baby. A what? And an arm from a 5-foot baby? I thought they had flippers. They believe the creature routinely lived and ate in freshwater among frogs, turtles, crocodiles and the enormous aquatic dinosaur Spinosaurus or Spinosaurus. So that's a story. So Sue, I'm sure, not making many friends in Scotland, because even though I think we all know that it's not real, we like to kid ourselves on, don't we?
So what have we got on that list? Sorry, so it's either a whale,
an alligator,
a baby's arm, a man's arm, or the obvious one, the Loch Ness Monster.
Exactly, yeah. Is that the obvious one? Yeah,
okay.
I know.
Okay. So yeah, obviously it's not a whale or an alligator or any other sea creature.
No,
it must be the Loch Ness Monster.
Has to be. Oh, the Loch Ness Monster on his holidays or her holidays in North Carolina.
Are we sure it wasn't Lord Lucan riding Shergar? Or something, because that's just about as plausible as it being Loch Ness Monster. Why would Nessie ever leave Loch Ness? It's her home. It's where she is. There's no way she would ever leave.
The crucial, the reason that this, it's not the most obvious thing that's wrong with the story, but if there's such a thing as a Loch Ness Monster, and let's say for the sake of the article that there definitely is, right? It lives in Loch Ness, which is a loch or lake, if you don't come from Scotland, right? Fresh water, unsalted water. To get to North Carolina, it would have to swim through the sea. Now, I'm no zoologist. You'll be shocked to hear. But I'm pretty sure that creatures that come from a freshwater environment can't survive in a seawater environment. So I'm pretty sure it's not Nessie in his holidays or her holidays.
Yeah, but we don't know. I mean, how do we know that Nessie can't teleport? Or fly. We've never seen.
Or catch the bus.
Yeah, catch the bus.
I did like the alpaca in the Loch Ness.
Yeah. Oh, of course, I forgot about the alpaca. Yeah, we don't know that Nessie didn't get the bus to Yoker and have a day there, and then decide to go to North Carolina. On the bus to Yoker, she met the Shaggy song "Oh Carolina" and decided to go to North Carolina.
She met an American tourist. They invited her over.
Yeah, yeah,
as they do.
Yeah, come back and tell the family Ness all about her travels in North Carolina. Jesus, I mean, come on, how's this the obvious answer? It's Nessie. Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't know. People have fertile imaginations. So
you know what? I don't have any other explanation though, so I'm taking the piss out of them. But I don't have an answer. So other than it was probably a whale or a dolphin riding a whale or something, or a dolphin eating a whale, and the dolphin was in its mouth, and they saw this weird flappy thing, and the ridges they thought they saw was actually the dolphin fighting for its life.
Maybe, it could be any of those things.
Or it was an alpaca riding a whale. I don't know.
But the thing is, right? See, I mean, I've been to Loch Ness, and it's beautiful around there. It's beautiful, and the thing, I mean, I'm as has come up in the Swally quite a few times before, I'm quite cynical about all those types of things, but because we're doing like a sponsored walk, and we were walking along the loch, and I was looking out to the water thinking, imagine if I saw the Loch Ness Monster. And the thing is, right, if I had seen an alpaca going for a swim, for like, even if it was just for a moment or two until I realised what the alpaca was, that it was actually an alpaca, I'd have been convinced it was a Loch Ness Monster as well.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you, actually. I would have been too. Yeah. If I'd seen something in the water that I didn't know what it was, I'd be like, I've seen the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, you're right.
Indeed. So, anyway, that was my first story this week. What's your first story in this episode?
Well, my first story, and I don't want to say it's not a great story, but it is a good story. However, it's just one particular line in this story that I want to chat to you about, and chat about our memories. So this is from the Scottish Sun this week, and the headline is "The Wrong Trousers." So a Scots pub has hit back at a French tourist who left a scathing 1-star review on TripAdvisor after being dress coded for wearing inappropriate trousers. The unhappy visitor took to the page to complain that they had been turned away from the George IV bar in Edinburgh for wearing trousers that went against the dress code. The disgruntled customer, who went by Joe on the site, explained that she and her husband had looked forward to trying the delicious food at the pub last month after hearing good reviews about the place. But her husband arrived wearing black Kappa tracksuit bottoms. The couple were turned away at the door. The diner said how they were left disappointed after not getting let in, and they said that they should have been told about the clothing policy when they spoke on the phone earlier that day. She wrote on the travel company website, "My husband and I are from France. My husband and I are from France, and for the first night in Edinburgh, we really wanted a nice pub where we could go and eat and listen to music at the same time." I'm going to stop doing that, actually, just in case. The pub was very well noted, and it looked delicious from the outside, so we decided to try and get in. My husband was refused at entry by a security guard that deemed his trousers inappropriate for the restaurant. Yes, these are thin sport pants, but we are tourists. We're not supposed to know about the clothing policies, especially for a pub that is supposed to be popular. And most of my husband's outfit was overall very correct. I want to add that I did try to call the pub earlier in the evening, but I didn't manage to get anyone. Too bad. Maybe someone would have told us about their clothing policy. We're very disappointed, and I don't recommend. We're currently eating at a pub that doesn't have live music. Too bad for us. But at least we were welcomed, and we're eating well. Bosses at George IV Bar have hit back at the customer complaints, and they have left a reply on TripAdvisor. And they've said, "We have a policy of no tracksuits or jobby catchers in the bar in the evenings."
Jobby catchers.
Most bars in Edinburgh have the same policy. We work hard to cater for our clientele. That's the end of the article. So, can you tell the reason I wanted to use that article? The use of the term jobby catcher. I have not heard that term in years. Jobby catchers. So, have you ever worn inappropriate clothing to a pub? I mean, where does the term jobby catcher even come from? I think we need to explain that maybe to our overseas listeners. I'm not even sure.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, if I was going to speculate, I'd say that, perhaps people who wear those types of tracky bottoms habitually tend to, the reason they're not allowed in the pub is they get a bit smashed, they get a bit carried away, and they sometimes shite themselves.
I mean, but would you go, okay, they're French, but then I wouldn't imagine going to a pub in France on a Saturday evening and getting in with Kappa tracksuit bottoms. Or Kappa jobby catchers.
Swinging by the tobacco in your jobby catchers. for a half pint and a brown cigarette.
I mean, fair play to the pub for obviously upholding their dress code. I just love the reply on TripAdvisor. It's so nice. We have a policy of no tracksuits, jobby catchers. So yeah, have you ever worn inappropriate clothing to a pub or anything?
I haven't. I mean, you and I and our mutual friend, we're always sort of reasonably sartorial when we're going out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if we're going out through the week, we would tend to put our best gear on.
It led me to think though, and that's one of the reasons I want to cover the story. Because I remember obviously when I was 16, 17 and I was going into town, and I would get into pubs and nightclubs, but I was always wearing like dress shoes, trousers and a shirt.
Yeah.
And I think Aberdeen was quite bad for it for a while, but they did relax the laws after a while that, okay, you could get in with jeans on, as long as they were nice jeans. And then later on, like, you could get in with trainers on, as long as they were smart trainers. And then towards the end, it was just fucking anything. You could go in with, cons, ripped jeans and, a t-shirt. But back in the day when we originally started going out, you had to, like on a Saturday night especially, definitely. You had to wear shoes, trousers and a collar. Effectively, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. You could wear a shirt, or you make it away with a polo shirt if it was like a smart one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you had to have a collar. Yeah, you couldn't go in with like a jumper on. And then obviously they relaxed things. But yeah, I remember going to Amadeus with like pinstripe trousers and like a Burberry shirt and like shoes with fucking buckles on the front just to, looking cool when I was only 17. But yeah.
Well, I remember the night the night out that we had in Norwich. When we went down for your birthday on the Saturday night, like all three of us, like we'd been out in the day just casually in the pubs having some beers, but we went back in tears and got changed, went out that night, and it was like trousers, shirts, you know what I mean, jackets, shoes.
You're right. Yeah, because it was, we all wore shirts and trousers and shoes, because that would have been,
2001, I think, wasn't it?
2001, so that would have been, very much kind of still in that time, and it was Saturday night, so
almost 22 years ago, fucking hell.
Jesus.
Yeah. But what the story reminded me a bit of, I have to be careful here because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but
it's all right. I love using the bleep button, Greg, so I can bleep it out.
But I used to work in a restaurant in Glasgow, which wasn't miles away from Ibrox, and the manager, who is a dear friend of mine, when him and I started working there at the same time, we kind of took it over at the same time, and he wouldn't let anybody in with any football tops on, right? Which is fair enough.
Okay. Fair enough, yeah. I would agree with that, yeah.
Any day of the week, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine, right? But it did lead to a couple of uncomfortable exchanges. But it wasn't so bad that he wouldn't allow adults to come in wearing football tops or any sort of club affiliate. He wouldn't let kids either. So sometimes, like... like a family would turn up and the little kids might be wearing like a Celtic top or a Rangers top, and you might be like 4 or 5 years old. But and you remember what it was like to be that age and have a football top, right? Of course, wanted to wear it all the time, and you felt fucking great in it. He wouldn't let them in, and if I let them in, because if I would. If I was there on my own, I would say, listen, look, we're not supposed to let anybody in with football tops on. So then he decided that he was going to buy a load of just neutral coloured polo tops that we had to ask people to put over their kids' football tops when they came in. I mean, it was fucking excruciating. Every time, if I'd be in the door and I would see a family come in through the foot and I would spot like a little club crest, and my heart would just sink every time. And especially if he was on as well, because I would sometimes sit them down and he'd come up to me and be like, what the fuck? The fucking Saturday, the fucking kids with a fucking Rangers top, fucking. I'd be like, oh, I didn't notice. He's like, you never noticed when you were handing the menus to them? I was like, yeah, sorry.
I can kind of see his point in a way, in terms of if you have a kid there and then an adult comes in wearing his NTL digital Rangers top, and he's like, sorry, no football colours. Oh, well, that Wayne over there's got a fucking shirt on.
That was his contention. That was his exact contention.
So I can see, and he's trying to solve the problem by buying those plain polo shirts. But I can imagine it's fucking embarrassing having to ask.
Horrible.
Could you wear this polo shirt that 3 other kids have worn
that we never wash?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yes, it does have spaghetti bolognese stains down the front, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing was when Rangers were at home, because we had like a big car park, so people would often like park and walk down Paisley Road, because like there was less chance of your car getting keyed in the car park than there was down at Govan. There was no kids hanging about asking for like a fiver to look after your car when you were in there. obviously they would come in for a bite to eat beforehand. You know what I mean? And you would have to, and they'd be in all their Rangers finery, and you'd be like, yeah, sorry, no football colours. Fucking horrible.
Would you have let them in if they were wearing like their Orange March kind of outfit, for example? Like, it's not a football top, but still.
You know, it never came up. So I don't know.
Funny that. Okay.
Thankfully,
well,
never came up.
I'd like to know that. I wonder what the policy is on that. Wearing a sash.
Yeah, a bowler hat, a sash, white gloves,
twirling
table for
their
two,
spaghetti with a baton.
Table for six.
So, if you are going to that pub in Edinburgh, don't wear your jobby catchers.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Right. What else have you seen this week, Rick, that has caught your eye?
Well, one of the most Swally-centric stories we've had in quite a long time. It is clothing related, so it does link quite nicely to the last one. So this comes from the Scottish Sun on the 6th of February, a couple of weeks ago. And the headline reads, Panty Thief. Scot nicked underwear from washing lines to dress up his blow-up sex doll. So Scot, who pocketed underwear from washing lines to dress up his blow-up sex doll, has been placed on the sex offenders register. Graham Orrick gathered a collection of worn pants, bras, swimwear and other clothing, some belonging to children, reports the Courier. He targeted 4 different addresses near Arbroath Town Centre between June and August last summer. Orrick was captured on CCTV nicking 3 pairs of black Marks and Spencer size 10 pants. It's weirdly specific. At a ground floor flat in Hill Street on June the 23rd. He then returned on July the 31st and took a bikini and a boy's beachwear. At home in Hayswell Road on July 19th, Orrick stole 2 bras and a child's new Zog one-piece swimsuit when he returned on August the 1st. Orrick then targeted a washing line on East Abbey Street on August the 12th, where he pocketed 2 pairs of size 8 to 9 denim shorts and t-shirt and matching red and black women's underwear sets. The next night, fucking hell, in a neighbour's garden, he took a pair of girls' pants, aged 6 to 7, and a woman's black and pink pyjamas. He also stole an extra small 2021-2022 Arbroath FC home top. When police searched his home on September 7th, they found dozens of missing items. Orrick, now of Spitalfield Place, I bet he's really pleased that the Sun have told everybody where he lives now, was arrested by police on an undertaking with a condition that he remain at home between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. So that's when to hang out your washing, residents of Spitalfield Place, until his court appearance. He admitted breaching this on September the 27th. Solicitor Billy Rennie said, "The danger for the members of the public who have suffered from his behaviour is theft of their items. There isn't a danger from his conduct in his own home. The complainers are not suffering from the sexual conduct of the accused, they're suffering the loss of property. There is too much of a break in the link between what he was doing and the sexual gratification he was subsequently receiving in his own home. There's nothing deviant or concerning about what he's doing in his own home." That's up for debate. Sheriff Krista Johnson noted, "The items taken were very targeted in order to be worn. They're not brand new underwear, they're used underwear. It's underwear belonging to women. It's not just underwear in a shop. Do the women not require to be protected?" Orrick's period of notification will be announced next month when reports have been prepared. Yeah, I mean, I sort of take her point, but, you know, he's steering them off washing lines so they're clean. Not that I'm defending him, of course, but he may as well just have gone shoplifting, surely.
Yeah, I was thinking that. But then it's easier to steal it off a washing line, isn't it?
I'd imagine so, yeah. But like a one-piece Zog kid's swimming costume.
Well, I don't know. Is that more alarming or the Arbroath kit? So he's stealing these items to dress up his sex doll.
Yeah.
So he's dressing him up in like 50-year-old women's knickers and and her broth top.
Her broth top.
What's he doing with the kid's Zog swimsuit? Is he using that to wipe up afterwards?
Oh,
Well, it's absorbent. Come on.
they're not absorbent. I mean, they're crucially non-absorbent. If it was absorbent, the kids would sink to the bottom of the fucking swimming pool.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, yeah, it's non-absorbent. So yeah, there you go. It's ideal for the purposes of he's using it for.
Well, I've never tried to wipe up a puddle of spunk with a swimming costume, so I have to take your word for it.
And there we have our clip. I was just speaking about how we need to make clips for the show. I've got my clip now.
Oh, God. I'm so glad my mother doesn't listen to this podcast.
So he's been stealing knickers and other items of clothing off washing lines around Dundee and Arbroath area, and using them to
dress up a sex doll.
Dress up a sex doll. Do we know the sex doll's name?
No,
at all? It doesn't, not mentioned.
No, but whenever anybody says the word sex doll, I just assume that it's called Raquel. I don't know why. Raquel. I think Billy Connolly had a routine about a sex doll called Raquel years ago. Maybe that's why.
I think Bianca would be my go-to name for a sex doll.
Yeah. You know how they're never called any sort of traditional Scottish names like Morag or Agnes, you know.
Oh, Heather, you're going to get that Arbroath top on you tonight. These size 10 knickers.
As soon as I finish blowing you up, Heather.
Oh, dear. Yeah, good point, actually. Yeah, you don't think of... I don't know why I've got into sex doll names. The upshot of it is that he is... he's in a bit of bother, though.
He's
obviously for stealing.
He's in a lot of bother. Compounded by the fact that the son has printed his address, his new address.
Well, maybe he'll get a lot of advertising for new sex dolls, or because you get the new kind of the very lifelike ones nowadays, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen like online, not shopping, but just like unbidden articles that occasionally appear on social media, of sort of very, very lifelike sex dolls from like Asia, like Japan and places like that. So I'm sure that's not what Graham was working with. I'm sure he was working with a more traditional model.
I have the idea of the kind of blow up doll from Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
The traditional kind of plastic sex doll.
Now, I wonder if he had meant to order like a scary Halloween decoration. I got a sex doll by accident in a bin bag.
He's like, I'll just go with it. I'll just dress it up.
Yeah.
I'll just dress it up in this Arbroath top that I've got.
I mean, whether he is a danger to anybody is not for us to litigate, because it sounds like it's been litigated already. But I do feel a bit sorry for guys that that end up having that you find out have got sex dolls, because they're obviously desperately fucking lonely. Kind of get a bird. Do you know what I mean?
Well, but then maybe they just have a like an aversion to people or something. You never know.
Yeah. I can identify with that.
Exactly. I fucking hate people, so it's very lucky that I am deeply in love with my wife and like her very much. Otherwise, I'd probably I don't have to talk to anyone. I don't have to do anything. So it's ideal. Just I'll stick this 1983 Willie Miller Dawn's top on her and off we go.
Yeah. And the song,
come on, Bianca.
The song One Piece. Yeah. Yeah. The Culture Swally. Scotland's podcast brought to you by people who don't like people. If you'd like to sponsor us. Anyway, that's poor old Graham on the sex offenders register.
Poor old Graham.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my second story. What's your next story this week?
So this is I'm bang up to date here, Greg. My story is kind of 25 years old, but it's just taking a kind of resurrection right now. So this is about how James Cameron, and I'm going to come back to him later on actually, how his blockbuster film Titanic offended a Scottish family as the blockbuster is set for re-release. So of course Titanic is 25 years old this year, so it is being re-released into the cinemas because, God, we need more Celine Dion in our lives. So of course this film launched the careers of two Hollywood A-listers and sparked millions of floppy haircuts. And Titanic is set to be re-released into the big screen. Despite a formulaic plot and a script so wooden, and this is from the Scottish Daily Express, sorry. These are the words from the Scottish Daily Express, not my words. And a script so wooden you could build a lifeboat from it. Titanic swept the awards, including 11 Oscars, and a whole generation can now get wrapped up in the story of Rose and Jack as they battle Rose's jealous fiancé. That's a bit of a shame they don't mention Billy Zane in this article. Yeah. And of course, a giant iceberg. So Titanic might have bagged enough trophies to sink the liner before it even left Southampton, but that was not without its critics. And among them was the family of Scottish First Officer William Murdoch, played by Ewan Stewart in the movie, in his little bot. Murdoch was in charge of the bridge when the Titanic sunk the iceberg. It sunk the iceberg when the Titanic struck the iceberg. The iceberg sunk the Titanic, Jesus. He went down with the ship along with more than 1,500 other souls. Like, let's not laugh at this, Greg, because we are speaking about 1,500 people. Murdoch grew up in Dalbeattie, which is now in Dumfries and Galloway, and started working with White Star Line in the 1900s. His reputation for dependency saw him taken as part of the team that would sail the ship to New York. Murdoch tried desperately to avoid hitting the iceberg after it became apparent the Titanic would sink, had launched half its lifeboats before the other side of the ship had even got started. However, the details of Murdoch's death are shrouded in controversy. Some eyewitnesses claim that an officer shot one or two passengers to bring calm before turning the gun on himself, despite the ship's second officer, Charles Lightroller, saying that he witnessed Murdoch being swept out to sea whilst trying to launch a collapsible lifeboat. Rumours persist that Murdoch was the officer who fired the shots. It was later claimed that Lightroller could not have seen Murdoch at the time, and that he later confided that he had lied, perhaps to save Murdoch's widow from the truth. Either way, James Cameron plumped for the shooting version in the film, a decision that angered Murdoch's relatives, who still stayed in Dalbeattie. After the film's release, Murdoch's nephew, Scott Murdoch, accused the filmmakers of tarnishing his uncle's memory. He said, "From my own family connections and also from my father, having spoken to various officers who survived, he did not commit suicide. If someone says to you, somebody in the family committed suicide when they hadn't, you take objection." Such was the strength of this feeling that the Vice President of Fox, Scott Neeson, travelled to Dalbeattie to offer a personal apology to the family and donated £5,000 to the local high school. Cameron also apologises on the DVD commentary. But he insisted that his portrayal of Murdoch was sympathetic and the officers did fire shots that fateful night in April 1912. And he said, "I'm not sure you'll find a sense of responsibility and total devotion to duty today. The guy had half lifeboats launched before the counterpart of the port side had even launched one. That says something about his character and heroism." So, Titanic. We're not going to go into too much debate. I mean, obviously we can talk about Ewan Stewart and his bot. But Titanic, any memories of that, Greg?
Yeah, I remember going to see it at the cinema with the girl I was going out with at the time. Obviously, I mean, it was a big deal when that came out.
Yeah.
You know, it was massive.
Yeah.
And it was one, I think it was probably, I was living in Aberdeen at the time and it was still the Virgin Cinema.
Yeah. That's where I saw it.
Aberdeen's first multiplex down at the beach, and we went to see it there. And I think it was showing, I think it had like 10 screens, maybe that. I think it's 10 screens.
What's your definition of a multiplex, though?
More than like 2 screens.
Yeah, but the Odeon up at top of Holborn Street, that had like about 6 screens.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. I remember going there. But it was definitely, well, okay, Aberdeen's first modern cinema.
Yeah.
You accept that?
I'll give you that. Okay. I'll accept that, yeah.
Okay. And I remember it being on, because I used to work at Frankie and Benny's right opposite the cinema. And there was only us in Daytona down there at that time. I don't even think Heroes had even opened at that point. And we literally just got pumped all day. And you could sort of time your seatings by the showings in the cinema. So it was just the case of the restaurant filling up and emptying out every sort of hour and 15 minutes. But yeah, no, I remember going to see it. I remember it's the first thing I'd really seen Kate Winslet in. And I was quite surprised when she gets her Winslets out later on, for Leonardo DiCaprio. I think I'd seen Leonardo DiCaprio in a few things before. I'd seen him in like This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro, and I think I had seen The Basketball Diaries as well at that point. So I was no stranger to DiCaprio's work. But
you're a big Romeo and Juliet fan as well, aren't you?
No, I don't really like the film, to be honest. I
wasn't really joking.
I don't really like Baz Luhrmann's way of direction, to be honest. It's fucking stupid. A cartoon.
Incredible soundtrack to that film, though.
Oh, great soundtrack. But
shit film, a great soundtrack.
Yeah, Paul Rudd's in it. That's what blows me away.
Jesus, he just does not age, does he?
He looks exactly the same as he does in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So but I remember, like, it was one of those films where it was a case, I think everybody went to see it, and it was like it wasn't like, oh, have you been to see The Matrix? It was, have you been to see Titanic yet? You know what I mean? And like some people went to see it multiple times. Like it's a big deal for my sister because it's the first time she managed to get into a 15 rated film. I think she would have been maybe 13 when it came out, and she managed to pass for 15. So she's quite pleased with herself.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I remember watching it. I think it was the same Virgin down the beach. Watched it there. And I remember
you take a young lady with you.
No, I can't remember who I went with. I think I went with my friends.
Right.
No, definitely wasn't with a young lady at the time. And I even remember buying it on VHS from Asda down at Garth D. So yeah, I had Titanic on VHS. God knows why. But it was kind of...
It was an event, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had to go and see it.
Yeah.
It was just this huge thing. And say it won 11 Oscars. And it was a huge film at the time. I mean, I wouldn't watch it now. I couldn't think of anything worse than... Well, I could think of a lot of things worse, like watching
Romeo and
Inception
Juliet
again or something, or Romeo and Juliet. But I don't fancy watching it again. But I'm sure it holds up, and it's 25th anniversary. Jesus, that makes us feel very old. So
to be honest,
I'm sure
if it's on the telly, and I'll watch
you're
it.
waiting until Kate Winslet gets her Winslets out, and then you're going to switch off, aren't you?
Well, they always cut that bit out when it's on the telly here because this is an Islamic country. But they come like, oh, the boat's just about to sink. Oh, I'll just watch it for a wee while. You know what I mean? Or I'll just watch
the last 45 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, like I'll just watch it until the boat splits in half, or I'll just watch it until Ewan Stewart shoots the Irish guy and then shoots himself. I'll turn it off. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Like, it's for Cameron, it's a good dramatic device because he takes a bribe off Billy Zane, doesn't he? And then he throws it back at him when he's trying, and he makes him get away from he chases him away from the lifeboat, doesn't he, and all that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a hard one to I suppose, but can you do it? It was 110 years ago, so
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Anyway, so I'm sure they'll get over it. And they got a personal apology, and they got some money donated. So why are they bringing it up now?
Exactly.
It's just to get publicity. I bet they've got a OnlyFans account or something they're trying to promote.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, right. Have you seen anything else this week, Greg?
Nope, not this week.
Nope. Okay, right. Well, before we get on to what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
Now there's an even better choice at Gerard's, where Gerard himself presides over the marvellous cuisine. A new a la carte menu with a choice of over 30 dishes, 8 fish dishes alone. A new 4-course menu complet plus coffee, only £13.85. Business lunches under £5. And on Saturdays, lunch is served under the fig tree in the unique garden room. Now, more than ever, there's nowhere quite like Gerard's, Aberdeen's favourite restaurant.
And if you'd like to sponsor the Culture Swally like our lovely sponsors there, then you can drop us a line on cultureswally@gmail.com or get in touch with us on our social.
So, it was your choice after my low budget pick last time, going for something a bit more classic. Why don't you introduce this week's content?
Thank you very much, Greg. So we're going back to 1976 today as we visit the Elephant's Graveyard, which was part of the BBC's Play for Today and aired on the 12th of October in 1976. Written by Peter McDougall, who we of course have featured on multiple previous episodes of The Swally, and directed by John Mackenzie, who we also have featured on multiple episodes of the Culture Swally. The Elephant's Graveyard stars John Morrison as Bunny and Billy Connolly as Jody, the only two cast members in this production. It tells the story of Bunny, who has told his wife that he is working as a postman, but he is in fact wandering round the hills all day. On this particular day, he meets Jody, an older man, who has also told his wife that he is working at the IBM factory, but is in fact doing the same as Bunny. The two men spend a day of friendship together in the woods, but what does the future hold? I'll also say we will be spoiling this, so if you haven't seen The Elephant's Graveyard, we will put a link to it, because it is on YouTube, in the description of this podcast. It's only like 45 minutes long. Go and watch it before we talk about it, because we are going to be spoiling it. And do yourself a favour and watch it, because genuinely, it really is worth it. So, Greg, Elephant's Graveyard, memories, first time?
So, a bit like Just a Boys Game and Just Another Saturday and Down Among the Big Boys, in around 2006, the BBC released most of Peter McDougall's plays for today on DVD, and I remembered reading about them in the Daily Records. I'd never heard of them, because obviously we all came out, with the exception of Down Among the Big Boys. The rest of them all came out before I was born, really, or when I was very young at least. So I hadn't seen them. So I went and bought them all. I bought those 4 on DVD. So the first time I saw this was only about 15 or 16 years ago, and it was the last one that I watched, because I watched Just a Boys Game. I actually think I had seen that. It was on the TV in the kind of mid to late 90s. I think they were doing a bit of a retrospective on the play for today. So I had seen that one, but I watched that first because I had memories of it, and then I watched Just Another Saturday. So this was the last one I watched, and Just Another Saturday was the first thing the first thing I thought I'd ever seen John Morrison in, because I didn't recognise him from Nil by Mouth, because he's a lot older by then. So yeah, I mean, and obviously I'd been a fan of Billy Connolly's for as long as I could remember. And it's really Billy Connolly really stretching himself as an actor at last, because in the other bits and bobs he'd been in were pretty small. Like in Just Another Saturday, it's like a couple of years earlier. It's not very big. It's not a very long role. He's only got about 10 minutes. You know, He's only got about 10 or 15 minutes in there. So yeah, it was, I think for him, you know, it's probably a big step for him. And yeah, so I think this is, you know, he's become quite a celebrated actor, Billy Connolly. Although I think it's fair to say, quite a long road. Like, although I wouldn't say he was an overnight success as an actor. I think it was really when he did Mrs. Brown and Muppets Treasure Island and those things that his career got going. But I think this is the beginning of him being recognised as a serious actor.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw this, I think, back in the day. I guess it must have been late night on BBC, like one Friday, Saturday night. They must have replayed it. I think you said maybe in the mid-90s they replayed it. So I definitely have seen this before. And I think I just kind of remembered it as just Billy Connolly and some other guy in the woods or something, something like that. Yeah. I haven't seen it since. And I've watched it 3 times in the last couple of weeks because I just absolutely love this so much. And when I was younger, I did a lot of kind of drama theatre stuff from about the ages of like 11 to maybe 17. And we did a lot of kind of Scottish stuff. I say I did a lot of drama, like I did higher drama and I was in a theatre club and stuff. And I gave it up when I was like 17 and never kind of done anything since. And we studied a lot of Scottish stuff. I think it was more like the Steamy and the Chivy at the Stag and the Black Oil and Gregory's Girl and stuff. I never came across The Elephant's Graveyard, and I don't know why, because this just is such an incredible piece of theatre and it's such an incredible play. And we've covered quite a few play for today's on the Swally, and I can't think of anything that is more fitting of a play for today than this.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, yes, it looks a little bit dated now, but fucking hell, it's 47 years old. And the subject matter is so far ahead of its time. And you're speaking about Billy Connolly and his acting chops. Jesus Christ, he is wonderful in this. This was like 2 years after Just a Boys Game.
Just Another Saturday.
Just Another Saturday. Yeah. Sorry, Just Another Saturday. Only a couple of years after that. And in that, he is effectively playing himself. Just kind of the loudmouth kind of...
banter.
banter comedian. In this, he's wonderful. And it's not even the acting, it's the subtle looks that he gives to Bunny.
Yeah.
Just kind of and that's what I love about this so much. And we'll come on to this later on, but it's there's so much acting in this that goes unspoken. It's Bunny gives Jody looks like, I kind of know you from somewhere.
Yeah.
And Jody gives Bunny looks like, if you not worked it out yet.
Yeah.
Like the way they both deliver it, but particularly Connolly, is just, it's so outstanding. Like he's just wonderful in this.
Yeah, he's really good. And like to your point, it does feel like the script could be right at home in like a higher drama syllabus. You know what I mean? That kind of two-hander. It's got a sort of kind of waiting for Godot kind of vibe about it. You know what I mean? Just sort of two prominent actors. Two prominent characters rather, and it's a kind of crisis of, it's not really a crisis of faith, but more a crisis of convention. You know, like Bunny feels that he's supposed to, you know, he knows he's supposed to be out working, and he just can't really face it. He can't really face going out and finding a job. He can't really face the kind of routine of it. But he's sort of 4 days into a different type of routine that he's established for himself of just finding things to do to kind of pass the day when he's supposed to be at work.
And that's it. I think it's such a sensitive kind of play about what it means to be grown up and the responsibilities that go with it, because Bunny feels like he is a grown up. He has to go out and get a job. But rather than tell his wife that he hasn't got one, he just makes one up. And, you know, what's better? A postman. And, you know, gets up in the morning early, he's home by lunchtime. Like, it's kind of the ideal job in a way.
Yeah.
But to make that up, and of course, Jody's in the same situation, telling his wife, and I guess that's what we see at the beginning, is his wife effectively dropping him off at the IBM factory. But he's off into the hills, and as Bunny says earlier, like, it's payday tonight, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And they're effectively having this day before they have to go and face up to their responsibilities of, fuck, what am I going to say when I get home? And I haven't got any pay.
Yeah. And like, you feel like all the way through it, as much as there's a lot of humour, it's often very, very, very funny. But that sort of empathy that you have for Bunny, I think in particular, is never too far away, because as much as you're enjoying spending the time with them when they're having a drink and they're having their wine and everything, and they're trying to outdo each other with various stunts and climbing hills and everything, you know that he can't maintain this forever. You know what I mean? Because he answers to somebody, he answers to his wife. So he can't go much longer without either owning up or finding a job and hoping they can sort of paper over it a bit. But that feeling that he's going home with no money in his pocket when she's at home expecting him to come home with his wages. I don't know about you, but like all the way through it, that was never, as soon as that was established in the script, it was never too far from my mind. And then the effect it had on me when Jody says toward the end, right, we better get moving. I'm like, fucking hell, just stay in the hills, because you're going to get, how can you go home and look your wife in the eye? And what are you going to tell her when she's expecting you to bring the money home?
You know what this reminded me of, and the whole kind of play is, it's two boys playing in the woods on a day off, on a Sunday. They're playing in the woods on the Sunday. And as the play goes on, you kind of feel that Sunday afternoon creeping into evening dread coming upon you of, I've got school tomorrow. Yeah. Like kind of that dread.
The weekend's almost over.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it kind of really felt like to me, and I think it was captured so beautifully in this. It was two boys playing in the woods, bunking off, and then, oh shit, we've got to kind of face up to, we've got school tomorrow. Yeah. And it's exactly as you said, you do feel that in terms of Bunny, you are kind of fearful of him, like, shit, he's got to go home with his wife. What's he going to say to her? Yeah. And as you get into the story and you find out that effectively he wasn't seeing her for long, got her pregnant and then got married, but he's happy. Mm-hmm. There's something underlying there that he's not giving away.
Well, he sort of alludes to it about midway through, when after Jody's told him how he used to be at sea, and you know, he says that he would go to sea and he would never come back. So that you do get, as much as he sort of sticks to his convictions when they're talking about getting married. And he said, no, I wanted to get married. You know what I mean? I wanted to get married. You know, it was my choice to do that. You do get the feeling, well, is it a bit of bravado? You know, really what he wants to do is get out of it, get out of his community, get out of his situation, go to sea, you know. But there's a sort of hopelessness there underlying when he's saying it, because you know that he never will. You know what I mean? Or you know that he knows that he never will. That it's just talk. You know.
I think. I mean, we need to talk, I think, about Bunny and John Morrison's performance, but before we do that, we'll finish kind of speaking up about Billy Connolly as Jody, and very much a wonderful, wise old philosopher.
Yeah.
And he has got something, honestly, some of the lines are just incredible. You know, when Bunny says a postman, and he's like, oh, are you up here delivering correspondence?
Yeah.
And he's just a wise man, you know, in terms of, he says, if you tell lies, you should do it expecting to get captured.
Yeah.
And it's not expecting to get caught, expecting to get captured.
Yeah.
There's a lot of depth in that.
You're married?
Aye?
Your wife think you're at work?
Funny enough, she does, huh? That's why I'm all wet. Saw you coming and panic in case you were somebody I knew. Might tell a wife of me. Oh, she finds out I get a strap.
Bunny, son, prepare yourself to be found out.
How come? I don't know you, do I?
No. But if you tell lies, you should do it expecting to get caught. Sooner or later, you always get captured.
Then well I met you. Christ, you're a great comfort.
My favourite line that he says, you know, when they come out of the bothy, when the rain's gone off, and he says the wet, it seeps into your bones like guilt, and it's you know, like it's true, not about the weather as such, but more about how guilt sort of rests on your conscience. It does feel like it's you know, it sort of assimilates and becomes part of your body if you're carrying around something that you feel bad about for a long time.
Yeah, I think my possible favourite is very similar. It's when they're speaking about nostalgia, and he says, "You're never far from your mammy's smell."
Yep.
And it's just such a. Are we surprised it's Peter McDougall?
Yeah,
but the language and the way, it's just incredible. The way it's just written and just as I say, Connolly is just the way he delivers it.
Yeah.
He's so good at this. And there's one particular piece of acting which I'll come back to later when we kind of talk about the ending. There's one piece like kind of foreshadowing that I just think he is just absolutely masterful at. But to talk about Bunny and John Morrison, I again, kind of the first thing I'd really seen him in was, of course, Just Another Saturday.
Yeah.
And seeing him in this, he's, again, it's like a year later, and I think he was 20 when this was filmed, and he's, you know, he really has grown. He was great in Just Another Saturday, but in here, just because he's got Connolly to kind of play off, he maybe isn't as accomplished as Connolly, I'll say. But Connolly was 33.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd been around a while, and he's a performer. You can tell that Morrison's maybe a little bit, not wooden, but there's a couple of lines he delivers that maybe, you know, a little bit static, but he's still great in this.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know if it's him as such, or the script sort of gives him a bit of wisdom to impart as well. And it's like, well, you know, it's maybe a little harder for him to sell it. I think, you know, what I think with Connolly is, you know, from reading, when you read or you listen to him talk about working in the shipyards, and he knew a lot of these old veteran guys, like tradesmen who worked in there that were union guys and whatnot, and they'd worked in the yards their whole life. And I wonder if Connolly maybe sort of based his performance a wee bit on guys like that, who very experienced guys, but still have a sort of twinkle in their eye, and are, you know, probably always, not most of them, probably always willing to take these young guys under their wing and try and steer them right, which is kind of what Jody's doing through the play. Whereas for Morrison, you know, he's supposed to be playing this sort of young, not long out of school young guy, and it is kind of similar to his character in Just Another Saturday, because Just Another Saturday, the whole play, it's just different characters trying to advise him in one way or another. you know what I mean, either for good or ill. Whereas in this one, it's just Connolly. It's just sorry, not Connery, Connolly. So you know, but he sort of plays it well, and you kind of get the feeling that these guys off screen probably knew each other pretty well and are probably part of a larger group, because as much as you never feel like that Morrison's intimidated at all. You know what I mean? You never get that feeling. You feel that he's very, very comfortable acting opposite Connolly, and they both, you get that feeling that they're both, although there's a lot of fun and humour and stuff in it, it's quite a heavy story. It's quite there's a lot of serious messages in the story, but you know, they don't feel that they either of them, especially Morrison, gets bogged down with it, you know?
I think it's very well cut up in terms of there is a lot of fun and japes in terms of their skipping stones over the river and climbing trees and climbing up kind of ravines, but I can only presume that's a metaphor for the actual real story. And there is a lot of fun to be had there.
Yeah.
But I agree, it is a very heavy message, you know, kind of the whole thing, and it really is, it's very deep and very heavy, but it's just so wonderfully crafted in terms of this kind of humorous, like the 45 minutes just fly by. And
it does, absolutely flies by.
For it to be a two-hander, just the two of them, it's just incredible the way they just bounce off each other and just feel so natural. And for them to have just met that day, although I guess we will come to that very shortly. I think that we're going to have to split this wide open very soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, for them, it's just wonderful. And yeah, it just absolutely flies by the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I guess the sort of overlying metaphor is Bunny isn't ready to become an adult entirely. You know what I mean? He's, you know, to your point, he's only, you know, I'm not sure how old he's meant to be, the character's meant to be, but we know Morrison was young. So if the character's meant to be sort of maybe 18, 19 years old, and, you know, he knows that at some point he's going to have to be a man and get a job and bring home the bacon and raise children and all the things that were probably expected of men of his class and generation. But he's just, you know, he's not quite ready to do it.
You get neither chance nor choice. You leave school and straight to work without even thinking about it. Then you get married without even knowing about it. Then spend the rest of your days using both as an excuse for never having done anything with your life.
Speak for yourself.
I am. And look at me, all grown up, and here I am, holed up in the hills, feared to let on to my wife that I don't know what to do with myself.
I'm feared to let on I can't get a job.
Listen, cousin, you can shoot shit to anybody you like, but not to yourself. There's work to be had if you've an eye for it.
Okay, so if you've got up to this point and you haven't watched The Elephant's Graveyard yet, please go and watch it, because I'm about to split this wide open. Okay, so Jody is Bunny from the future. Yeah, basically.
Well, that's what I took from it, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's so many things that are... Of course it is. In terms of the, you know, they both have the same Mother's Pride bag with their sandwiches, and they both have when Jody is, Bunny's saying that, you know, he got his wife pregnant and got married, and Bunny's like, yeah, the same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
The most telling part for me is, and this is Connolly's best acting work I've ever seen, is when Bunny is explaining how his father died, and the look on Connolly's face. I've almost never seen better acting than that. Just the look he gives, you just know instantly, fuck, he was there. He's remembering that.
Yeah.
And I think the most telling part as well is, of course, when Bunny says that he wants to go to sea, and Jody says, yeah, I was at sea. I wasn't much older than you.
Yeah.
And of course, he's Bunny from... not the future, well, do you know what I mean? It's he's kind of come back to visit him. It's the obvious.
Yeah, no doubt for sure. And then the thing is, the first time you watch it, because if you're not, we mentioned this before, actually in the last episode, because the last thing we watched had a twist. Although you know, they sort of let out the bag a wee bit early in the film, but for this one, the twist, as I suppose it is right in the very last moments of literally right before the credits roll. If you haven't, the first time you watch it, or the first time I watched it, certainly I had no idea it was coming, because I didn't notice things like the fact that they're eating their sandwiches out the exact same Mother's Pride bread bag, and you know what I mean, and the way they roll their cigarettes, and you know, they both do that wee thing where they kind of wiggle the fag in their mouth before they light it and stuff. And so it's a proper like, but it's sort of affirming, you know what I mean, because you kind of feel that has Jody come back to visit Bunny to sort of put him on a different path, maybe a better path, you know what I mean, or just kind of help him get his act together or whatever. So you're kind of like, you know,
it's like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future 2 going back to sort out his kid. It's funny you said that.
Like Jody had a DeLorean part just over the hill.
It's funny you said that, because I have written in my notes, huge twist at the end, and I didn't remember the twist. Like, as I say, I'd seen it 20 odd, probably more years ago, and exactly as I said to you, I just remembered it was like Billy Connolly and a guy in the woods. That was all. I'd forgotten about the twist. And I've written in my notes, huge twist at the end, but so understated, deliciously delivered.
Yeah.
Not like Lord of Tears. But the power and the energy was just enough. Like it what I love about this is it doesn't beat the audience over the head.
Yeah.
It's like, we've left you enough breadcrumbs. If you can't work this out yourself,
yeah,
you don't deserve to be watching this. You know what I mean, though? It's so subtly and beautifully done.
It demands that you watch it again, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. And then, as I say, I've watched this 3 times over the last couple of weeks, and every time I have got more and more out of it, because I'm noticing things. Like, I did notice the Mother's Pride bags first, straight away, like the first time. But little things like as I've just said, you know, when Bunny's speaking about his dad dying and Jody's look to him,
yeah.
I didn't pick that up the first time, but second time watching it, and I noticed it, I was like, Jesus Christ, that is just fucking incredible. It's just it's something that needs to be watched again once you've worked out the twist.
Absolutely.
So to speak.
It's like, you know, like, I think probably you could probably compare it to something like Fight Club, because the first time I saw Fight Club, I had no idea what about the twist at the end. You know what I mean? So then when you go back and watch it a second or third time, you're on the lookout for the little tells that although Fincher does sort of show you a load of them when Edward Norton's character comes to the realisation, you know, like there's a lot of like different versions of the scenes of him punching himself in the face and stuff. But like what you said, which I thought was was important, was that, you know, this was a different time where I think audiences, there wasn't as much choice, and I think audiences were trusted more to, you know, like, I mean, if you made this now and that was the only way that they did the little twist at the end, and they did it exactly the same way, I think people would be upset about it. You know what I mean? Because the suggestions and the hints that they're the same person are so subtle that you only really notice when you go back and watch it again. You know what I mean? And like I think modern audiences would feel a little bit cheated because it's not overt enough that they're the same person. Whereas I think for the audience, the contemporary audience that would have watched this when it came out, there wasn't as much choice of things to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like 3 channels on the TV, or the radio, or a book. You know what I mean? And I think people like paid attention to things a lot more than they maybe do now, so there's no like smartphone to distract them or whatever. And like, crucially, the director, and I suppose, well, I mean, I don't know, would it be a directorial choice or would it be Peter McDougall's choices, or maybe they came up with it together, that, you know, we're not going to be, because the thing is as well, when this came out, there's no guarantee that anybody would ever see it again after it was on the first time. There might be a repeat or something later on, but it's a one-off 45-minute sort of short film, you know, if you like. It's not even as long as an episode of like Taggart or Shetland or something like that. And there's no guarantee that anybody would see it again. But yeah, one of them, or together, they've decided, you know, we'll just have it at the end, and it'll be a soft, sort of gentle reveal in the sort of last minute of the show. Then the credits will roll, and we'll follow Bunny back down the hill, back to his house. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think filmmakers would do that anymore.
It's so funny you've said that, Greg, because I've literally got written in my notes as a question to ask you. Do you think it would be less effective if this was made today? Because it's so small scale, modest and subtle.
Yeah.
And nowadays, people need to be hit over the head with a brick to understand things.
I agree.
Whereas this was just so beautifully done. And I genuinely can't describe how incredible this play was in terms of just the subtlety and that twist at the end. And it's not like oh, he was a ghosty.
Yeah.
It's just, he just vanishes.
Just not there, yeah.
You're just, but even Bunny's reaction is just like, oh, okay. And walks back down the hill. Like, it's not a huge like, oh, God, he was a ghost all along. Sorry if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense. But it's, do you know what I mean? It's so subtly done. It's just so beautiful. And genuinely, I'm so pleased you said that, because it's exactly what I've had in my notes in terms of would it be less effective.
Well, I wonder if that's maybe why. Maybe there has been adaptations for the stage, maybe or whatever. But I'm not sure how you would do the twist on stage. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you might have to have some kind of stage effect that just the way, but then it would be abrupt and blunt that Jody just disappears. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how you would do it, have him fall through a trap door or something, or a screen. I don't know how you do it, but you know, like it's sort of up until that point, it's kind of perfect stage material. Two actors, two characters playing off each other and going through things together and having deep conversations and heavy conversations. You know,
it's a perfect play, and as you say, you know, it's what I said to you. It's the embodiment of a play for today, and it is a perfect play. And I think this was hugely hyped at the time. In October 1976, this was on the front cover of the Radio Times. Right. So they were hugely promoting it, and they had an interview with Peter McDougall in the Radio Times before it aired. And he said, yeah, something like that happened to me. I went up into the hills with this guy, and we drank cheap wine. And we really opened up to each other like nobody I've ever known. It was a fantastic experience to feel that close to someone. And so it kind of genuinely happened. And for this to be such a touching and beautiful play, it actually happened. I mean, he didn't see his future self, if you know what I mean. But he spent a day in the woods with this guy drinking wine and probably smoking roll-ups and mucking around and just having a great day, and they shared. And that's, I think, again, this is something that should be shown today about men's mental health as well, because Jody is such a philosopher, but he shares some amazing snippets. He does say, like, there is a line towards the end when he says, like, it all opens up when we start to share. Yeah. And at the end when he says to Bunny, like, a bond happened today between us. It's beautiful. And it's about male friendship, but also about mental health as well. And I genuinely think, BBC, please repeat this soon. Like, it is something that really needs to be seen.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because there's been a lot of stuff in the press over the last few years about male suicide in particular. You know, and it tends to be guys that aren't very old, like sort of in that sort of 20 to 40 age bracket. So yeah, I mean, it's incredibly ahead of its time from that perspective. And I don't know that anybody, unless there's been stuff on that's maybe passed me by, but I don't know if anybody has really tackled the modern kind of male mental health issue in drama in this sort of forum. I mean, maybe they have. Maybe I'm sure they've done it on the soaps, but they could. But I mean, like you know what I mean, like something that is built around like a man's sort of internal struggle. And the thing is as well, like, you know, in the 70s and when this was made, you sort of assume looking back in those days of that it's a man's, he's a man's man, a man's a man. Do you know what I mean?
Man's man. Yeah.
Yeah, this is still, you know, like John Wayne was still alive when this came out. You know, I think True Grit, his last film, came out around about the same. Oh no, that wasn't his last film. I think The Shootist was his last film, the one with Richie Cunningham from Happy Days in it. But you know what I mean? So there was still, you know, and a lot of people had come out of the war as well. That the war was only sort of 30 years earlier, and it was still, you know, so like that sort of bond that these two form in the woods, like to your point, and what Jody says, it sort of goes against what this got a prevailing male I would assume the prevailing male culture was at the time. And I still remember that when I was a kid as well. You know, like my grandparents, even my father's generation. You know what I mean? It was just get on with it. Just Just push it right down. Screw it right down. You know what I mean?
But they're hiding in the woods
Yeah.
because they're scared to tell their wives that they don't have a job. They're ashamed to admit that, but also they're obviously terrified of their wives.
Yeah.
And I know we've got all the big, kind of Ma Brown stereotype with the,
Rolling
big
pin.
roll-ups.
Yeah,
But it really does strike me as the kind of modern man. If I'm scared to admit that I don't have a job. So, and she's making me these sandwiches and I'm still taking them and eating them, but I can't admit that.
And the men of this generation didn't live as long comparatively as, well, not, like obviously like some do, but sort of generally speaking. I remember in Billy Connolly's book, when he's put his autobiography out a year or two ago, and he talks about these older guys that he met in the shipyard. And the thing is, like, they would retire and they would be dead within sort of 5 years because because work had been their whole life. You know what I mean? They probably start working in the yards at 14 or 15, retire at 60 or 65, whatever the retirement age was back then, and a few years later, they check out. You know what I mean?
There's so many beautiful speeches and things in this, but is there anything better than Billy Connolly's speech about standing on the other side of the street and looking at his door that he'd painted? And
not recognising
just thinking, didn't recognise it because I've never seen it from this side of the street. And that's just a beautiful kind of metaphor for just looking at things from a different perspective and seeing things in a different way.
I tell you, Bunny, I've been living in the same house this 12 years past. And the other day, I saw it for the other side of the street for the first time. And you know something? I didn't recognise it. My own house. I recognised the door because I sort of painted it and that. And I knew the windows and the curtains. But I'd never seen it for that side of the street before.
Yeah, it's incredibly profound, and again, I think Peter McDougall, he just had a really fundamental understanding of his kind of generation, his environment, his community, and the people who lived in it. And I think obviously very self-aware. He's a guy who started off as a tradesman, a bit like Connolly, and decided to go into the arts. Coming from a community, an environment where people generally didn't do that. Do you know what I mean? Because the expectation was, if you leave school, get a trade, go to work, get married, have kids. Do you know what I mean? That was the expectation. And him and Connolly are similar in the sense that they decided to do something different. They decided to sort of go against the tide and do something else. And Billy Connolly's very, very self-aware. And and he talks about, funnily enough, I re-listened to his Adam Buxton interviewed him for his podcast a couple of years ago, Billy Connolly. And obviously he's struggling with Parkinson's and stuff. So, but still, the kind of spark is still there. But he talks about really enjoying poetry, like getting into poetry, because he had a kind of Saturday job in a bookshop in Glasgow where he swept the floor, and he would hide in the kind of poetry section, like reading like Burns and stuff like that. But he couldn't go and tell his mates that he knocked about with, or the guys, that he was, have you ever heard of Robert Burns? Have you ever heard of, really, I read this cracking poem today, because it's kind of generationally and environmentally, it just wasn't what those types of guys did. They having any sort of intellectual leaning would result in a merciless fucking kind of piss taking.
Well, to take into our generation, it'd be like me kind of saying, you know what, I really like All Saints. All Saints are really good. Like, you know what?
Well, the band or the clothes shop?
No, I meant the band. You know what I mean? Like, but at the time, we were early kind of 2000s. Like, you know what? Under the Bridge, I think it's almost better than the Chili Peppers version. Like,
fucking hell.
Do you know what I mean, though? But it's exactly what you were kind of saying.
Sure.
It's a very profound point in terms of, it is against about the kind of masculinity of the day, and almost being ashamed to admit. That you're into something
any intellectual
different
sensibilities whatsoever. I mean, like, to your point, when we were younger, you and I and our mutual friend, we would like leap upon anything to make fun of each other. You know what I mean?
Well, to this day, we still take the piss out of our mutual friend because we found an ABBA Gold CD in his collection.
Not only did they have it on CD, he also had the cassettes in the glove box of his fucking Nissan Micra.
So, and we still bring it up to this day. So maybe we aren't the best people to talk about
horrible hypocrite
situation. Yeah. Have you ever farted in a can and rattled it?
That's one thing that I haven't done.
I'm going to use that for my a next insult for my wife, though. It's beautiful. Away and fart in a can and rattle it. Was that a popular Glaswegian saying?
Never heard it. But I mean, there's a number. I'd never ever heard that before. But Peter McDougall's good at sort of seizing upon these kind of West of Scotland things and putting them in his plays. And I get he might have just made it up, but it sort of feels at home in the West of Scotland. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
To come back to earlier when I did my news story about Titanic, and I said, I'm going to come back to James Cameron. There is a point where Jody is chasing Bunny, and they're kind of having a laugh and chasing each other. And they kind of chase through this kind of canal, empty canal. Aqueduct. Did James Cameron take that as inspiration for Terminator 2 when
maybe
Arnie's chasing?
Maybe.
The T-1000's chasing Arnie in the truck. Yeah?
Maybe.
Is that, yeah?
Maybe.
It reminded me of that. It was like, oh.
He maybe owes Peter McDougall and John Mackenzie's estate a few quid.
I think we should look into that and bring that up.
Well, I was going to ask you. So there's some physical stuff that happens in the play. You know, there's the bit near the beginning when he's hiding from Jody and he sort of falls down, he sort of rolls down the hill, and then obviously later on Bunny walks along the fence for the little bridge and stuff like that, and they're running after each other. And there's a bit when Bunny sort of tackles Jody and they kind of roll down the hill together. You think it felt like the actors were doing that themselves, especially it didn't feel there was any stunt people involved, especially that first hill roll that Bunny does when he's hiding in the first few minutes. It feels like that's John Morrison rolling down the hill.
Well, I think it is, and that hill roll we need to give a shout out to, because there is a beautiful POV shot. I think Sam Raimi stole for Evil Dead in terms of the kind of thing. So, John Mackenzie, you need to get in touch with James Cameron and Sam Raimi to sue them, because Evil Dead was 1978, 2 years after this.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think Tom Cruise is just copying John Morrison? Thinking, well, if John Morrison can roll down a hill, then I can do like a what do they call it, an angel jump. A halo jump over Paris.
Yes, I think John Morrison did influence
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise,
I did as well.
The other theory I had is when Bunny rolls down that hill, did he smack his head on a rock and the rest of it is all a dream? Maybe.
So you think Bunny's just lying there unconscious and having this?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe.
And no one will find him because they always think he's at the post office.
I think he's
fucked it.
He's fucked it, yeah. I think he's out at work. There's a fantastic shot that Mackenzie gets near the beginning of this when we're seeing Bunny sort of walking through the streets of Greenock and heading out to the countryside. And there's that shot where you see Bunny sort of walking up the hill, but in the foreground there's the houses and everything like that of the community, and you see him sort of silhouetted against the horizon. It's a fantastic shot that Mackenzie gets. It's beautiful. There. Really, really good shot. Who'd have thought anybody could make Greenock look as good as Mackenzie does?
But it's just, I mean, is there anything wrong with this? It's beautifully filmed. It's beautifully scripted. It's wonderfully acted. Is there anything wrong with the Elephant's Graveyard at all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the only thing wrong with it is that it's not something that is debated regularly, you know, and revisited regularly. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just, you know, and I think you could say that about a lot of the plays for today. And something that I found out when I was doing my research, the reason that the BBC stopped the Play for Today series was because they wanted to reallocate the budget to make fucking EastEnders.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, come on, how depressing is that? You know, but there's a lot. You know, there's some fantastic ones from England as well, like from Willie Russell and Ken Loach and Scum. famously was a Play for Today.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? Like an extended one.
Yeah.
And some great ones that really launched people's careers. And, you know, like we mentioned a little bit about it on the Lord of Tears thing, like these anthology shows that you just don't really get anymore. You know what I mean? I think it's...
as you say, they try to do it with like Inside Number 9 and
well, they do it very
Black
well.
Mirror.
Yeah.
You know, Black Mirror to a certain extent, but yeah, the BBC don't seem to. Well, they do Inside Number 9, of course, but you know, there does need to be something else because there is an audience for it, and I would love to watch something like that. I can kind of dip in and out of, like, okay, I don't fancy the look of that because it's swords and sandals, whereas you know, the next one, I'll watch that. It kind of
even if
there does need to be something.
Even if you're watching something that doesn't really appeal to you, you know that it's only a one-off, you know?
Yeah, you can still enjoy it. Like, even the episodes of Inside Number 9, there's a couple that are set in kind of medieval times, and I'm like, okay, it's not for me, but I'll watch it because I trust the writers and the actors.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to enjoy it anyway. That I'll get something out of this because I like them. So
I was thinking to myself, like, because, like, you know, you and I, not so much now, but certainly over the years when we were younger, we weren't above a bit of skiving. So I had to look into what the sort of modern, you know, what would you do now to kind of shirk off work, and I found a page that gives us 10 ways to creatively skive off work in 2023. All right.
Wow.
Okay. So number one, first thing you can do, you can offer to spearhead the company's social media program. So every time someone sees you on like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you can just point out that it's part of your work. Another thing you can do is if you've got your own office, you can close the door and put paper clips on the floor, and then just go to sleep on the floor by the door. When someone opens the door, they'll wake you up and you'll look like you've down there to pick up the paper clips. I think that's stretching a little bit. Yeah,
that's a little bit too far, I think.
Number 3, grab a pile of papers and a pen and start walking, but look stressed. That would probably work.
That's what I used to do all the time in my last job.
Offer to look for something that has been lost, especially if your workplace has a lot of cupboards or a basement. Just, you know, take your phone, take a cushion, go down the basement, chill out. You could write a work problem on a pad in big letters and then stare out the window. And when someone questions you to ask what you're doing, you just show them the problem that you've written down in your pad and ask them not to interrupt you. You can leave your computer on overnight and leave your coat in the car. So when you arrive at your desk at 10 o'clock, it'll look like you'll be in the office since before everybody else got in and they've just been in a meeting. This is a good one, you could find like-minded people and have a meeting and explain that you don't write anything down because you don't want to constrain anybody's ideas. You can lock yourself in the toilet with a newspaper or your phone. If anybody asks what you've been doing, you can just be really graphic about having a dodgy tummy. I feel like I've done that a couple of times in the past. And then you can text a friend when you feel like going home and ask them to call your work number. So when you answer the phone, you can say, "Oh dear God, yeah, I'll be right there," and hang up and walk out and refuse to discuss because it's too painful. So there's a couple of ideas for you next time you feel like having a wee day off.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll take that on board. Thank you.
Have you ever skived off, like work or school?
Yeah, I think school a couple of times. Work, no, not so much. In fact, that's a lie. I do remember one morning, it was when I was in Dubai, so obviously the time difference, and it was a Sunday morning I was at work, because back in the day when we worked Sundays in Dubai, and I did text to say that my car battery was flat and I was waiting for a replacement.
Right.
And I would be in shortly, but it was because I was watching the UFC. Because it was it was a big Conor McGregor fight, and I said my car battery was flat, so I'd be in about 10 o'clock, and miraculously I came in like half an hour after the fight ended.
I remember in 5th and 6th year at school, because obviously you're not under any obligation to be there because you're 16.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In Scotland.
Yeah, true.
And so the year that I was in 5th year, for the first time, they said that you could self-certify if you were off. So the video shop had just got Reservoir Dogs in, right? And I hadn't seen it. I'd seen Pulp Fiction, but I hadn't seen Reservoir Dogs. So I went and got it out the night before, and then I went for the school bus. But really, I went down to the railway station, which is not a railway station anymore, but it's still there, so the train tracks have gone. But I went down there, hung out, had a couple of fags, and then when I felt comfortable that my mum and that would have left for work, I went back up and had a lovely day at home, watched watched the Reservoir Dogs a couple of times, and then went in the next day and went and self-certified and felt like I just pulled off the heist of the century. Unlike the protagonist in Reservoir Dogs, of course, famously.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Yeah.
Right, well...
Time to put this through the Swally Awards?
Yeah, let's do it. What have we got first? Because there's
not
a lot, but there is a few that we can cover.
So, there's no pub, so there's no Bobby the Barman Award.
I would say the Burn does count as a pub, doesn't it? Because the river, the Burn, because Jody puts his fortified wine in there to chill. So
wait, you've just reminded me of an important question that I meant to ask you. Did you catch
what chilled red wine?
No. Did you catch the brand of the wine?
No, I didn't actually.
No, I didn't either. I was hoping you had. I'm sure they don't make it anymore.
I don't think it's mentioned in terms of the dialogue, but yeah, I didn't zoom in to check what the brand was. But I mean, I presume it's meant to be kind of buckfast, kind of orientated.
Something like that, yeah.
Fortified wine, because the two of them get pished after one bottle. And I don't know about you, but mind you, at about 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe if I was to have half a bottle of red wine, maybe I would be feeling a little bit worse for wear. But at that time, so no.
Yeah.
So no, I put the river or the Burn as the pub.
The other important question that I meant to ask you, have you ever worn a shoe with a prominent heel, like Bunny's shoes?
No, I can't say I have. I've got a few pairs of Chelsea boots, but they don't have like a prominent heel as such. No, I've never worn like a cowboy or like a Cuban heel is what you're probably asking. No, never have. No. What about yourself?
No.
I am quite short, but I've never felt the need to wear a Cuban heel.
I've not. But I was reminded of kind of mutual acquaintance, Techno Jock. Remember he used to wear the kind of cowboy boots, didn't he?
He did, yeah. A Cuban heel, basically, heel.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
I did. I mean, as much as I would never have dressed like him, I sort of admired the fact that he just fucking wore what he wanted and didn't care what anybody thought about him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's the way you have to be, I think.
Yeah. Good.
Fuck it.
Good for him.
Go for it.
Okay, so the next award then, the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. So you got the choice of two.
I did go for John Morrison, I think, purely because, yes, I mean, Billy Connolly, I think you associate more with Scotland, but John Morrison has been in more Scottish productions, so I went with John Morrison.
Yeah, I mean, I think only a few years after this came out, Billy Connolly was making films with Michael Caine. He made that Water with Michael Caine and stuff. So okay, the Jake McQuillan Your Tease Out Award. So for this one, I went for, because it's not really violent, but I went for Bunny falling in the burn. Don't know if that sort of counts.
Okay, yeah. I went with, because there is one point where Bunny grabs Jody and they roll down the hill.
Yeah.
And there's a good interaction where
you got to be careful.
Jody's like, "Oh, be careful with the wine. You
got to be careful with these delicate wines."
Yes, that's
they don't travel well. They don't travel well.
Exactly. So that's what I went with for that. But yeah, yours is a good option too.
The closest thing to nudity we have is a taps off Bunny drying his clothes. Drying his clothes after falling in the burn.
You know what? I didn't even include that. I just put none. But you're right. He does take his tap off. But none.
What did you go for archetypal Scottish moment?
I went for near the beginning when they're in the bothy kind of area, and Jody says to Bunny, "You're hanging about here like Robert the Bruce."
Yeah, that was good.
What about yourself?
I went for drinking in the woods.
It's also a very good choice.
Yeah. I've actually missed one out in the normal order of things. The Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. I mean, there's not a great deal. There's a bit when the Bunny describes how he felt after having his first wank.
We forgot to mention that, actually. You know something? I had one written down. There was a bit near the beginning when he, I think it's Bunny that says something about cleaning shite out the cuckoo clock.
Yeah.
But I'd actually give it to, I think Jody asks at Bunny, And Bunny says, "Don't ach me, you old twat."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of, probably the closest. But you're right, there's not a lot of bad language in this at all.
No,
really.
not really. Not for like two guys. But then I suppose probably broadcast BBC One, 9 o'clock at night-ish in the 70s, you know. Okay, and then our last award. I think it's a hard, well, maybe it's not that hard actually, but the Sean Connery Award, for who do you think wins the show?
Well, I'd say it's not hard because I gave it to both of them. Like, I can't split the two. Like, they're both. I could give it to Connolly because he is technically probably better. And as I've explained on the episode, some of his facial expressions but then again, John Morrison, I can't fault his as well.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, it's once you watch it the second time and you see the looks they give each other, Bunny's giving Jody the look of, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah.
And Jody's giving Bunny the look of, have you not worked it out yet? It's just beautiful when you watch it like a second time and you pick up on that. It's just masterful.
Yeah, there's the moment when Bunny's sort of looking intently at Jody, and Jody says, "You look like you spotted an enemy," you know, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm just thinking." And then he goes on to his, it's really, it's so clever and so well written and performed. I can't believe that it just doesn't come up more often, just in general.
I don't say this lightly. This could be one of the favourite things I've covered on the Swally. Like, genuinely, I just cannot speak highly enough about The Elephant's Graveyard and how amazing it is. So I would urge everyone listening to this to watch it if you have not watched it before, which you should have, because we did mention a couple of times that we're going to give massive spoilers.
We did.
Anyway, so that was my choice, Greg. So why don't you tell us what I'm going to be watching on my holiday to cover on this Swally? Why don't you tell us what we're going to be covering on the next episode of the Culture Swally?
So I've gone for something a little different to the last couple of things. I've gone for a movie, and I've gone for the year 2000 movie Beautiful Creatures, starring the lovely Rachel Weisz and the lovely Susan Lynch, but more importantly than that, Alex Norton, Jake Darcy, and Ian Glenn. Not to be confused with the Beautiful Creatures from 2013 that Jeremy Irons is in, which when I was looking for information on it so I could do this little introduction to it, is all I could find online until I looked on Ian Glenn's filmography to get the actual what it was about. So yeah, I've never seen it before, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
That has been on my list for quite some time of things that I wanted to cover, and I've never got round to it. And there must be about 3 or 4 times I've been like, right, I'm going to do that next, and then something else has popped into my mind. But yeah, I've never seen it either. However, it came out around about the time that I was working in Blockbuster, so I remember seeing the DVD cover constantly, but I've never seen it. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to follow us on the socials, you can follow us on Instagram at Culture Swally Pod or on Twitter at Swally Pod. And if you have anything that you would like us to review, or if you want to just get in touch with us, then you can on Gmail on cultureswally@gmail.com. And please feel free to rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and you can visit our wonderful website as well, can't you, Greg?
You can indeed. You can find us at cultureswally.com, where you can find lots of interesting things about Scottish media, as well as links to all their episodes. Come and check us out over there.
Wonderful. Right. Well,
That's
I'm off
it.
to Barbados.
I'm off to sunny Barbados. Should we get the Crankies to write a song about your holiday?
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, I'm going to get pushed on the plane and get fired when I get... my wife's probably going to fire me when I reach the other end. So I'll be like poor Reese from The Apprentice.
Poor Reese.
But I will be watching Beautiful Creatures. Beautiful Creatures?
That's it, yeah. Beautiful Creatures.
Yeah, Beautiful Creatures. I'll be watching that in Barbados and making my notes. Right, okay, wonderful. All right, thank you very much, Greg.
Thanks
Until next time.
Until next time.
I'm staring at 40. But up to then, it's the Elephant's Graveyard. It's where you come to die. Nobody knows what it is but yourself. See you again, Bunny son.
The best to you, Jody.